Wrapping up a sports weekend as you should each and every week with a special Sunday edition of the Sports Rush. Yes, we have never gone anywhere, transitioning from radio to our YouTube channel. I am so glad so many of you have found us. We appreciate you, and we do ask you to subscribe, like this channel. Maybe at the end of the hour, you change your mind, but it's too late then. So we tell you to do it early in the show. That way, if we suck tonight, you don't have to make a decision at the end of the show because you've already clicked subscribe. We appreciate that. Hey, it's a busy day. We got a lot to talk about. We're going to cover the Indianapolis Colts collapse against the Kansas City Chiefs. It was a game that meant something to the Chiefs, and it did not mean a whole lot to the Colts, obviously, because they sucked in the fourth quarter, most of the second half. Daniel Jones put away the MVP talk. He should be completely out of the discussion by now. Shane Steichen, certainly, I hope Carly didn't have the headset on today because that was just a bad performance by the Colts. And it starts with a head coach not being able to call plays and dial up game-winning drives when you got a chance to put the game away. And it falls on the quarterback. Daniel Jones was awful. He didn't turn it over 5 times, didn't need to, because he only took 3 plays of offense before they punted the ball away. Last 4 times the Colts touched the football, they lasted all of 3 offensive plays, and then they sent the punt unit out. This was not a good performance. The Colts' last touchdown came with over 10 minutes left in the second quarter. That means they went almost a whole football game without a touchdown when you add the overtime. Just a really rough day for the Indianapolis Colts. But we'll talk about it. Also coming up, we're going to be talking about the city of Fort Wayne making an announcement on what to do with the North River project. I've got thoughts, and I am going to tell the city on this podcast exactly what I think of their lame brain insanity. That's what we're going to, and I'm going to tell you exactly why. And you can agree with me or disagree, and you can always comment because we've got the comments open. But we'll talk about that. Also, the Boilermakers. We've been waiting for the number 1 ranked team in the country to look like the number 1 ranked team, and they didn't, so they got knocked out of the number 1 ranking. And they finally look like it on Friday night. We'll talk about what the Boilermakers did that was particularly impressive. High school football. 5 entered, 2 continued on in the semi-state round. And if your name has Bishop in it, you're going to be playing football this weekend. If it does not have Bishop, you are not playing football this weekend. If it's got Adams County, unfortunately, you will not be playing football this weekend. And it's been a long time since we haven't had an Adams County school. You know, you had South Adams made a couple of trips down to Lucas Oil Stadium. I'm trying to remember if they made 2 or they made 1. But Adams Central 4 straight years, and that streak came to an end because they were defeated. But we'll talk about what happened with our high school football semi-state. Once again, let us know who you are, where you're listening. We always appreciate you. Any comments that you might have, any subjects you'd like us to talk about, your thoughts on the Colts today. That's probably top of mind. Recency bias always seems to make everybody want to comment on the thing they saw most recently, and we will be glad to take any kind of comments you've got about the Indianapolis Colts. But first, we have to welcome into the program our producer on radio and now kind of a sidekick here on the YouTube channel. I decided that we needed to have a fresher young face, so we went with Adam Lundy. And there he is.
Thank you.
There he is. We keep telling him he's got to get a better light. Do you have the light?
Yeah, it's on.
Okay. Apparently, I'm just pale, and the light just illuminates my whole face. But anyway, my weekend started with an overnight bus trip, so I've been spending the weekend trying to catch up on sleep. I finally feel like I've gotten there. I had some weird sleep hours, like 2 hours Saturday morning, and then a couple of hours Saturday afternoon, and then a couple of hours Saturday evening, and then back to sleep about 1 a.m. Woke up at 5 a.m. Couldn't figure out if I had a full night's sleep or if I had just made up for the loss of sleep. I don't know. But all I do know is today, right now, I feel pretty fresh. So I feel like maybe I've caught up. That's a grind for an old man like me, to take an overnight bus trip sitting in a chair that doesn't recline because the guy behind you keeps kicking me.
That's a tough trip.
So I ended up getting back to the apartment probably 5:15 or so. I got all the way to campus, and then I realized I don't have a car here because oh, I've lost you. We will try to get you back. I don't know what happened. I don't know what happened to you, but we'll try to get you back. Okay, maybe you're back. It was like this quick disappearing act.
Yeah, I was just saying that was a rough trip for you.
Yeah, I we got back about 5:15. I didn't have a car at campus, so I had to get a ride. So at 5:15 Saturday morning, Coach Kaufman was my chauffeur. Got me back home. But Macedon's tough road trip. This was the toughest road trip as far as back-to-back road games that the Dons have had since 2015, I believe it was, when they went to Utah and then follow that up with a game against the Indiana Hoosiers. This time it was Utah and then a trip to St. Louis. And let me tell you, the Billikens are for real. That is a good basketball team. Very well compensated. They got some serious NIL money. I mean, that money, when they run down the floor, you just see some greenbacks falling down on the ground as they run. I mean, that's a well-financed basketball team, and yeah, they've got talent. They're a good basketball team. A10, look out, because St. Louis is for real. They push it. They've got 6 players that can score, and they don't really have a conventional big. They've got, the 6'8", 6'9" guys that run the floor and are big and strong and can rebound. Robbie Avila, who played at Indiana State, he is now part of their lineup, and he prefers to kind of trail a play and pop a three rather than rush a play and get down to the low block and fight for position. But that's a good basketball team. And, the Dons couldn't hit shots. And I'll tell you, if you're going to try to stay with St. Louis, you've got to hit shots. That team's gone over 100 points 2 of their first 4 games. Dons did keep them under 100, but it was a little bit of a rough night when you shoot 21% or whatever it ended up being. I didn't even look at the end of the game. I don't remember even looking at the stats as far as 3-point shooting because it was so bad. But you've got to be able to hit shots. And the Dons aren't hitting shots on the road, and they're not defending the three very well. Now, at first, we thought, well, Grand Canyon just was hot. But then Ohio State was hot. And then Utah was hot. And then St. Louis was hot. Well, eventually, when every opponent is shooting 48% against you from three, you got to look in the mirror and you got to say, what are we not doing? Because we're not stopping the 3-point shot, and that's our game. And so they've got, and so I went back, watched film. I was watching film like a coach today. I went back, watched film this morning, and watched the replay of that St. Louis game on Friday night. And their rotations, I mean, they came off corner shooters like 3 times. The rule of basketball, do not leave a corner shooter open. And they came off the corner shooter to come help like 3 times, and all they did was kick it to the corner and drop in a triple. And now, and there's a big who's down on the block who's right there who can help on the driving guard. But there's 2 things at play. One is you got to stop dribble penetration from the opponent's point guards. The Dons were pretty good at that the last couple of years, so they didn't get burned on these types of plays that often. But the other thing is when you've got to drive and you've got to clear out on the one side with just the one corner shooter and no other defenders, no other offensive players, you can't be the defender of the corner shooter and come all the way into the lane to try to help on the drive. because you can't close out fast enough. And that's what's happening to the Dons. They're coming in to help and not getting back to the shooter. I'd rather see that help come from the big and rotate a man down to the hole to pick up on the big and make the big get his hands up so he's tough to pass through or over. I mean, there's some techniques that they've got to clean up, and I think they will. They've got a long season, and they're still learning just, number one, how to play offensively together. Now they got to learn how to play defensively together. But you can't keep giving up 48% on your opponent's 3-point shooting and expect to beat good teams. And so they haven't. That's basically what's happened. They haven't. And it's amazing how your offense can look so much worse when the ball doesn't go in. And, they score 130 some when they played at the Gate Center, and then they go on the road and are barely struggling to get 60. So, anyway, we'll talk more about that. But your weekend, what was your weekend like? What kind of sports did you follow this weekend?
Let's see. Friday night, I was with you on the Dons for the game against the Billikens. Yesterday.
Well, you weren't with me.
No, I wasn't with you. I was on the board really back in Fort Wayne.
That's misleading for those that don't know our little, what you're saying when you say I was with you on that game. You were in the studio, and you and I can communicate during commercials, which we did all Friday night because we were exchanging scores.
Yeah, we were talking about the high school football, the semi-state games.
Yeah, every time out, we were getting scores. And there was one in particular that Coach Kaufman was interested in because his son plays for Bishop Dwenger.
Yeah, and Bishop Dwenger, one of the two that are moving on.
Yeah, so I was supposed to give him a thumbs up. So what do I do after the game? I get his attention and I give him this, right? And I keep going,
Yeah.
And he's like, what are you doing? I said, because he's the one that told me. He said, if you can't tell me, just give me a thumbs up so I know they won. And I keep giving him the thumbs up, and he looks at me and he's shaking his head like, what is wrong with you? And I'm like,
you forgot. It happens.
Yeah, eventually I had to just holler. I had one of the players go over and tell him what I was over there doing. But
they're saying we're getting feedback echo from my audio.
I cannot tell you why. Because I don't have the volume up loud here.
Check. Yeah, I hear it too. And it's nothing different on my end.
I don't know, because I have everything set up exactly like it was when I left.
Yeah, and I do hear it too.
Okay. But anyway, let's get started. While we're mentioning the Dons, and we talked about recency bias, got to mention, I've seen this all over social media. Purdue Fort Wayne doing a nice job promoting it. 9 years ago yesterday was a moment in history for the city of Fort Wayne, for Purdue Fort Wayne, even for Indiana Purdue Fort Wayne, IPFW, because they still officially were IPFW, even though they had transitioned to be calling themselves just Fort Wayne. 9 years ago yesterday, if you were part of the 11,076 people that attended the game, you were part of history, because that still is the largest sports crowd to ever attend a sporting event in the city of Fort Wayne. 11,076. Comets have topped out at like 10,500, 600. But over 11,000 attended the Mastodons Indiana game on November 22nd, 2016, when the Mastodons won the game 71-68 in overtime. How many players can you name from that team? Now, I know, Adam, you were not on the board that night. DC Hendricks had the board. And so who was on the Mastodons, do you have one name?
John Conchar.
Conchar would be one. He would have been a youngster. I think he was a sophomore on that team. I don't think he was a freshman. Trying to do the math, but he was. I think he was a sophomore on that team. Do you have one other name on that team?
It's Scott. Bryson Scott?
Bryson Scott was on that team.
All right.
Little piece of history. Bryson Scott, former Northrop product, finished his college career with a 6-0 record against the Indiana Hoosiers. He was 4-0 in his 2 years at Purdue and then played IU each of his 2 years with the Mastodons and won both years. So the year he won in Fort Wayne, he would have been a junior because the Mastodons went down to Bloomington the next year and beat the Hoosiers handily down in Bloomington. Um, but Mo Evans was also part of that team, big Brent Calhoun. It was interesting because Mo Evans and Brent Calhoun both fouled out of that basketball game. OG Ananobi, some people say, well, he didn't play. Yes, he did play. I think he ended up with 14 or 15 minutes. He was dealing with something. I don't know, it was an illness or what, but he ended up only playing about 14, 15 minutes. Troy Williams was playing. Thomas Bryant played for the Hoosiers. Rob Johnson, James Blackman Jr. That was the group. They came in ranked number 3 in the country, and the Mastodons raced out to a 13-3 lead. After Thomas Bryant opened the scoring with a three-pointer, the Mastodons scored the next 13 points in the game and maintained a lead throughout the entire first half. And finally, in the second half, IU put together a run, capped off by a three-point play by Thomas Bryant that gave them their first lead since it was 3-0. And I thought at that moment, oh boy, the fun's over, right? I mean, how many times do you see teams that when you have a big emotional night like that, you can stay with a team for a while, but then eventually water finds its level and the game gets away from you in the second half. And so when Indiana went on that run, they got their fans into it. The fans that had filled the Coliseum were primarily IU fans. And the but the eventually the Dons came back after that 3-point play and got a John Conchar monster dunk. He just took it the length of the floor, drove and threw it down with his left hand, posterizing, I believe, Thomas Bryant on the other end. And that put the Dons right back in front. From there, they got another Conchar dunk on a pass from Bryson Scott and a Mo Evans layup. They got a 5-point lead, and they were able to hold on to that until the final minute or two when things got close. Eventually, it was tied, went overtime. Kaysen Harrell, who'd had a very tough shooting night, he was 2 for 9 from 3, and Coach Kaufman said, I don't care. Your best shot is still going to come, and it might just win us this basketball game. And Kaysen Harrell stepped up in overtime and dropped in a triple that gave the Dons the first bucket of overtime, and they held on from there. D'Angelo Stewart, who was 0 for 4 from the field, 0 for 2 from 3, stepped to the free throw line for the 2 free throws that put the Dons up by 3 with like 10 seconds to go. And D'Angelo Stewart dropped in both free throws to make the final score 71-68. So a lot of heroes that night, but that was 9 years ago. So next year's the 10th anniversary. Should be a special celebration, maybe even a reunion. We'll have to figure out if Conchar can get somehow into Fort Wayne. I think it's time too. I saw Josh Allen had his jersey retired. I think it's time too that the Mastodons retire. I don't know if they've officially retired 55. I'm not sure, but
Yeah.
I don't think anybody's going to wear it. But it would be nice to have a jersey retirement. Rick might know this. I think we've got Longsworth connected. Um, all right. Uh, we'll try this, Adam. I don't know if your audio's fixed. If you can sense it, I don't hear it.
Yeah, I don't. It sounds like it's coming out of your speakers and then getting picked up again, but I don't know if you have the volume low.
No, I've got the speakers way down. Now I'll check a quick setting
Okay.
just to see here before we do this.
Hmm.
Um, okay, that's all right. Let me go back and see if I can check it on the stream. See, this is the tough thing about not having a producer.
I know.
Um, there's the audio input, audio output. Um, yeah, I don't know.
All
I
right.
don't know what else I can do to change that. Now, I do have, let me try this. I don't
Oh,
see, I probably am blinking. Okay, now try it again.
check, check. Oh, I don't hear myself. I think you got it.
That button, okay, should be completely irrelevant for anything that comes through on your end. It's a microphone setting for me.
That's so weird.
And I think since I'm sharing the screen with you, it's hearing audio. I don't know.
That
Anybody wants to be our technical engineer, we're hiring. We offer diet Pepsi or regular Pepsi for an
I'll
hour
even
of
throw
work.
in a Mountain Dew if you want.
Yeah,
So,
maybe a Mountain Dew too. All
all right.
right, we're going to do something we did on the radio each and every day. It's where we can kind of catch up with a whole bunch of sports we're not going to be talking about. So let's go ahead and send it over to Adam Lundy and get this week's top headlines.
All right, we're keeping it pretty recent. We're going to start off with today's new AP poll for college football. Indiana still at number 2, but Oregon returned to the top 5 of the Associated Press top 25 college football poll today. Uh, Ohio State, Indiana, and Texas A&M remained the top 3 teams for a 6th straight week, and Georgia was number 4 for the second week in a row. How do you feel about Indiana still being number 2, Brett?
They should be.
Yeah.
I mean, they're not going to be number one unless they beat number one. And, there's no reason getting a bye. They should have not been knocked down. So they're where they should be. And
Yeah.
it also sets up the potential 1 versus 2 for the Big Ten championship.
Absolutely. This one just came down about an hour ago from the MLB. The New York Mets and Texas Rangers have agreed to a trade that would send second baseman Marcus Semien to the Mets and outfielder Brandon Nimmo to the Rangers. That's from Jeff Passan. Also, Steelers, the TJ Watt passed his brother JJ now for the most sacks in the Watt family with the game today. Also, taking a look at some more college football news, Georgia backup offensive lineman Nair Daniels is facing more than a dozen criminal charges, including 3 felonies after he allegedly attempted to flee from police in Commerce, Georgia today. A redshirt freshman from New Jersey, he faces 2 felony counts of second-degree cruelty to children and 1 felony count of fleeing or attempting to elude a police officer, according to online jail records. A couple more stories here for you today, Brett.
I don't want stories. I want to know Fort Wayne sports. I want to know who won, who lost. Um, let's Comets.
Okay, let's see. Yeah, I was more prepared for a more national.
I
Uh,
know you're doing all these national stories. I'm like, let people look those up. Let's talk Comets. 2 wins. Got a victory Friday over Bloomington. Got a
yeah,
victory last night over Kalamazoo. And tonight they are right now on Coliseum ice taking on Wichita, trying to sweep the weekend. It's their home opening weekend because of new ice at the Coliseum. We aren't going to be breaking down the Comets because they're playing, but Comets got wins. Also, St. Francis football.
yeah. St. Francis.
They won.
Yeah, they did win, but I was just actually going to update you right now on the Comets game. The Wichita Thunder lead the Comets right now in the second period, 1-0.
Yeah, Mr. Vegas is on that too.
Of course he
Um,
is.
yeah, Mr. Vegas. I don't think you can put any something something on the Comets.
I got to find that bookie. I haven't found
It's
that one
tough
yet.
to win back to back to back, 3 games, 3 days. That's a grind. I don't know what Wichita's schedule is, but the Comets down 1-0, second, still plenty of time to come back. But they've been getting good defense, good goaltending, and they got a variety of guys that can score. It's been a pretty exciting team so far this year. And why do they continue the AP poll once college football playoff rankings come out? They don't matter. Um, I mean, you've got a little bit of a point there, Ryan, or is it Randy, Sally, or Ryan? We
It's Ryan. We
they
know
all
it's Ryan.
share they all share the handle. We know it's Ryan.
But no, yeah, you mentioned it. St. Francis, they hosted the number 21 Evangel University in the first round of the NAIA football championship on Saturday, and they won 13-12. So that was fantastic to move on to the next round.
Yep. All right, there's some headlines. All right, we got to talk about the Colts Chiefs today, Adam.
Man, what the heck happened? I mean, you go up 20-9 and you just forget that you have Jonathan Taylor there. I mean, what's going on, Shane?
You've got to figure out how to put a game away. And you had Daniel Jones visibly shaken in that end of third, fourth quarter, completely shaken. I love how the announcer said in the first half, Daniel Jones looked so cool and confident because he looked completely the opposite when the game got juicy, when the Colts needed to move the football, try to get some additional points and try to put the game away. You're on the road with a chance to bury a team that is desperate for a win. They are not going to go down without a fight. You've got to end it. You've got to put them away. And the game was right there for the taking, and the Colts couldn't do a dang thing offensively. I blame Daniel Jones. I mean, let's face it, he threw one ball that Kansas City defended themselves to keep them from intercepting it. Two guys collided, or it would have been an easy pick for either one of them. He threw it right into triple coverage. A couple of other throws, he made very quick decisions, got rid of the ball really fast, and almost before his receiver was ready. And in both cases, his receiver was well covered. Another pass got deflected at the line of scrimmage, intended for Josh Downs. Daniel Jones, MVP, more like MVC, most valuable choker, because today he was bad. And Shane Steichen didn't exactly put the Colts in the best situation either. Kansas City outcoached the Colts, almost depantsing them. It was so thorough in the second half. Spagnolo, whatever his name is, he was out coaching Shane Steichen because he was just coming after him, and the Colts had no answer of what they were going to do or what they were going to run against that blitz. They shied away from the run. They decided quick passes. None of the quick passes were open. I mean, you know, if you're going to get blitzing up the middle, maybe take it and roll out and give Jones a little more space rolling out of the pocket. He's pretty good rolling out. Didn't do that. Drop back, and Jones, you can almost see in his eyes, deer in headlights, panic, fright. He did not look like a confident guy sitting back in the pocket to throw. He looked like all he wanted to do was get rid of it at the first available line of sight to any potential receiver. And that was just pure panic by Daniel Jones. Terrible play calling by Shane Steichen. Colts deserved to lose this game. And then they made a boneheaded play on top of it. How many people with 3.5 minutes left were watching the Kansas City Chiefs drive? The Colts had pinned the Chiefs deep. They were facing a behind the stick situation where they were like 3rd and 18 or something like that. And they throw a pass that a guy goes up in traffic, the tight end, gets hit hard, comes down. Apparently, even though Romo and Nance never told us, apparently on the field it was ruled a catch. And the replay that they showed us just before they went to break showed that that was not a catch. The guy went up, it hit his hands, came down, almost tucked between his legs as he fell. He hit the ground. The ball bounced up on his chest and stomach. He reached for it as he rolled over in pain because he was hurt on the play because of the big hit, and the ball just rolled right down to the ground. Okay, there was never a catch, the completion of a catch. And it was right in front of the Colts coaches, 5 feet away. They had a perfect view of it. We watched it on replay and could see that was not a catch. And they're going to set up a fourth down and about 3 to go. Easy situation for Mahomes and the Chiefs, especially the way they were running the crossing routes and beating Colts corners across the field. Kenny Moore and Mooney Ward both got beat on crossing routes. But here was an opportunity to make it 4th and 18 on a drive the Chiefs had to score, and the Colts did not challenge the play. They even had an injury timeout to discuss it, and somehow nobody brought up, maybe you want to challenge it. That was not a catch. Somebody's got to tell me why that was ruled a catch. It hit the hands. It bobbled out of the hands as he went to the ground. It ended up kind of between his legs. Now, somebody say, well, he had possession. That's not possession, because when he landed on the ground, it rolled from between his legs up on his chest. He rolled over. The ball rolled off to the ground. That was, if anything, it was a trap. It was an incomplete pass. The Colts should have challenged it. They didn't. And you come back and the Chiefs get the first down, continue down the field, get the game tying field goal, force an overtime. And we all know how that ended. Another 3 and out for the Colts, 4 of them in a row to end the game. What a pathetic performance by the Colts.
Yeah, I think what stood out to me most about this game was just how much the momentum shifted from the start of the game to the end of the game. I mean, after the Colts went out on their first drive and had to punt it, you get that fantastic tip and then catch interception from Latu to set up the touchdown from the Colts to start the game 7-0 against the Chiefs. And then, you even get up 20-9 throughout the game. And then after that, it just kind of became, the typical thing that we've seen before with the Chiefs and Mahomes. It becomes a storybook ending where they, somehow find a way to win. But that's because the Colts absolutely let them come back in this game. And like you said, it was mismanaged horribly when they had the lead 20-9 and they had chances to put it away too. Even if you don't put it away by scoring, you had a chance to take a lot more time off the clock than they did. The Colts' last 3 drives took a total of just 3 minutes and 15 seconds off of the clock. That's about 1 minute per drive, a little over 1 minute per drive. And meanwhile, the Colts defense lets the Chiefs methodically go up the field and completely take time off the clock. There was a time at the end of the game where I was almost saying, hey, go ahead and let them score just so you can have a chance to get the ball back.
But the problem is you couldn't give them a touchdown.
I know. You can't give him a touchdown, but then I was just so credit to the defense to holding him for a field goal to overtime. But overall, I just was very unhappy with the play calling, and it was kind of that getting soft with the lead again a little bit too. So I just expected more from Shane Steichen and the Colts offense, and like you said, it's just disappointing loss today.
I'll give you 2 stats that really jump out. First downs, Kansas City had 33, the Colts had 10 the entire game. Time of possession, Kansas City had the ball almost 3/4 of the time, 42 and a half minutes to 25 and a half minutes. And that includes the overtime. Just pathetic. And the Colts played the entire fourth quarter not to lose rather than play to win. Go for the jugular, put this team away, get the 2-score lead so they don't have time to come back. Colts couldn't do that. And and that was the only way you were gonna win, was if you figured out a way to take advantage of that blitzing, attacking defense. By the way, Rick, go ahead and look at that replay again, because the ball goes into the legs, the ball goes onto the stomach. He puts hands up to get the ball as he rolls over, and the ball comes off his stomach and lands right next to him, touching the ground. Now, to me, that is not a catch. I immediately thought it wasn't a catch. I talked to someone else who was watching the game. They did not think it was a catch. We're like, we're going to check it out during the injury timeout. The Colts will probably challenge this. It will come back. They come back. The Chiefs are lining up for their 4th and 3, and nothing was said. No replay was shown. CBS blew it right there, about as bad as the Colts did. And I just don't think it was a catch. You've got to complete the catch, right? I mean, how many times do they make you, sing the national anthem and take 2 steps and get a Gatorade and everything before they rule that you've actually completed the act of the catch? This was a guy goes up in the air, comes back down, and as he hits the ground, the ball is moving. It is not stationary. It is moving because it goes from his hips to his stomach. He puts his hands down to try to collect it as he rolls over a little bit, and the ball comes off to his side, and it definitely touches the ground. Um, it was, to me, it was not a fully completed catch, and I don't think you've got any choice in that situation because of the stakes. You've got to at least challenge it. You have to. Um, the whole game could be in the balance of that call. And if there's any chance you can get it overturned, you still got to challenge it. And maybe they come back and they say what Rick said, that he thought he completed it without it touching the ground. I'll tell you this, it definitely touched the ground. The question is, at what point was the catch complete? Because there were a lot of steps to that play. He went up, he came down, the ball's between his legs, then it's on his stomach, then he's trying to grab it with his hands, and all the while it's curling off the side of his body and eventually lands but now at that point he is hurt, and so I don't know if that changes the determination of the completion of the catch, but to me that's a play that has to be reviewed, and they didn't review it. You cannot go down giving Kansas City that 15-yard play if there's any chance you could have it taken back. Terrible. The Colts did catch a couple of breaks because there were a couple of penalty calls that I
Yeah,
thought were bad calls. I thought the Colts got 2 breaks on the penalties, and usually when you play the Chiefs, it goes the other way. But the first Chiefs touchdown, which was called back, um, that was not a face mask.
swiped the side of the helmet a little bit, but
He was
didn't
up,
didn't
yeah,
grab
kind
the
of had a
didn't.
hand on the
Yeah,
side of the head, and the helmet was not a face mask, should not have been a penalty, and that should have been a touchdown. And I'm surprised the Chiefs didn't challenge that one. I'm trying to see if I wrote down the other one. Um, I didn't write down the other one, but there were 2 calls that I thought, because I know I texted somebody and said Colts just got another break.
yeah. I mean, there were some bad calls from both sides from the referees today. No question about it. I don't think this was a game that necessarily was won or lost by the referees. I think the Colts, kind of had their chances and blew it. But yeah, I'm not going to blame it on the refs today. I'm not going to do it.
All right, let's talk about blame, because I've got plenty to pass around right now, because I'm going to talk about the big announcement this week by the city of Fort Wayne. They've announced what's going to be happening with that North River project. Of course, this is the property on the north side of the river across from headwaters, kind of catty corner, almost more near Lawton Park. They're going to put together this whole big, um, what is it, center, community, whatever you call it. I'm trying to think of the right word. But it's going to be anchored by a field house. What? A field house. Oh, we don't have those here. Excuse me. Parkview Sports Medicine Fieldhouse, OPS Fieldhouse, Turner Stone has a Fieldhouse. We've got plenty of basketball courts. We used to have more, and we didn't have any reason when the new owners came along at Spieth. They didn't have a reason to continue to do basketball. They found that it would be more profitable to do pickleball. And so instead of taking over the building and refurbishing the courts and playing basketball, they went a different direction and went to pickleball. We do not need a field house. Any consultant that did any study at all and came up with the idea that we need another field house because it's going to pay back is not licensed or does not have credibility to be a consultant. They are a yes man that puts together a lot of fancy paperwork to make a politician look like they're making a good decision. Period. That's all this is. That is all that the consultant did. They went out to find a reason to make this decision look like a good one because you know who they didn't talk to? They didn't talk to people in AAU that schedule these tournaments. They didn't talk to people that run the current field houses in town to see how would it benefit them to have more courts available because would there be more events? You know what we're going to get out of this? Realistically, an AAU weekend tournament can bring hundreds of teams, and that's what they're pitching. You know, all these teams that could come to our town, there might be one that would be shopping for a location, one in an annual year that would spend a weekend in Fort Wayne. You've only got a period of like 4 weeks in the spring and 4 or 5 weeks in the summer. It's not like you've got year-round AAU tournaments going on. And so you have about 9 weeks, 9 weekends. Currently, there's the different divisions with the Nike and the Under Armour and the Adidas and all these different things going on. Those are all sponsored. Those you go to the Peach Jam in Atlanta, you go to a tournament in Dallas, you go to the West Coast, they got one out in LA. They're already pretty well assigned throughout the country for the high level tournaments. Then you've got the other travel tournaments that already have arrangements with where they're pretty much going. It's not like these teams sit at home saying, man, I wish there was a place to go this weekend. We don't have a game. They play every weekend. They got a place to go almost every weekend. So what you'd have to do is you'd have to go out and outbid these other cities. And who knows what that would cost you to win the bid to bring in this AAU tournament and host it here in Fort Wayne. And you might get one. Great. What's an arena going to do? Because my whole argument from the beginning is this city deserves a beautiful facility like Parkview Field where indoor sports can be played. We have the Coliseum, which is primarily a Comets ice hockey arena and a major concert venue. So when you have big concerts that come swinging through, concerts like they've just announced, you've got Dwight Yoakam and ZZ Top, you've got Journey, you've got some of these big shows that are coming through next summer, and there's going to be more. They've got a venue that's big enough to attract them. But during the winter months, the Coliseum has so many dates committed to the Comets that there are a lot of touring acts that are like, well, we're making our swing through the Midwest Friday, Saturday, Sunday, and this weekend, and those dates might be reserved for the Comets. And maybe the Comet schedule isn't out, maybe it is, but you know, maybe it doesn't coincide. Like Comets are going to be on Friday night, and they really prefer a Friday because if they do Friday in Fort Wayne, they can do Saturday in Grand Rapids or whatever when these tours are set up. So there are plenty of situations where the Coliseum doesn't get acts because they already have a venue that is full. And I'm not saying a downtown arena is going to pick up those acts, but you get 5,000 seats in a nice arena with suites, and you can host high profile basketball games. Maybe you have a holiday tournament that could be hosted there. Maybe you have a December event like they have down at Southport in Indianapolis. It is sponsored. It's all day. They put a bunch of the better teams in the state against one another. You've got the Hall of Fame Classic that takes place in Newcastle. The bottom line is you could have an entire day where there probably would be as many visitors and as much revenue in one day of high school basketball, and you'd still have a full season of things like uh, IHSAA regionals or semi-states that could be played at a venue like that. Right now, our teams in Fort Wayne have to travel to places like Kokomo, Logansport, and everywhere else to go to a regional or semi-state because we don't have the venue size in Fort Wayne. The nicest place is Carroll, and its attendance is or occupancy, it maxes out at about 3,400, and you've got to be able to get about 4,500 to 5,000 to qualify for a semi-state. I think it's 4,000 for a regional. Now, Carroll probably could bend some rules and add a few seats to get it close to 4,000, but there's other schools that probably it's more convenient for. And remember, too, you've got class basketball where you'd only be bidding on one of the four classes. But, you know, does anybody remember the days when back in the 90s and before, where the ACAC had their holiday tournament at the or their conference tournament at the Coliseum? The Summit Athletic Conference had their holiday tournament at the Coliseum. The Sectional 1 and Sectional 2 of Fort Wayne was played at the Coliseum. Regionals at the Coliseum. Semi-state at the Coliseum. We have a downtown arena. We've got a chance to bring back the heyday of the high school basketball scene here in Fort Wayne and maybe host some of those events again and maybe even create new ones that currently aren't on the calendar. Instead, they want a field house with the hopes we can lure that one event a year. I mean, I don't know what they're going to do with it the rest of the year, a field house. I mean, it'd be a place that somebody could use to practice, or you might, you know, if you can get an AAU club that considers that their home. But you could take a 5,000 seat nice arena with suites and nice seating and maybe some conversion seats where you can convert it to a different stage type presence. You could do that and probably fill it 100 to 150 nights a year. A couple times a week, maybe a third time, because you know you've got the Mastodons would have 15 games. You could play some of the NAIA games there. You know, have a big Huntington, maybe a Huntington, Indiana Tech, St. Francis triple header, all played at the beautiful downtown arena. There's plenty of things that could be done to fill that place. But a field house, like we need one, like Turnstone, PSM, and OPS isn't enough space. And that's not even the end of the basketball courts that are available. I mean, there's a lot of high schools that have 2 or 3 courts that are being used. The other thing, too, is the field house isn't going to be big enough to host the entire tournament. To do something like that down in Indy, for instance, they use the convention center where you have like 32 volleyball courts all set up in one big, massive room. And we don't have that anyway, so we couldn't compete for something like that. I just think this is a failed idea from somebody who doesn't know sports, who probably doesn't know AAU basketball, who got a consultant that is a yes man that will tell the mayor what they want to hear, and it's the wrong direction. The other thing is, why is the city doing the development and passing it on to the people they want to develop it from out of town? Why didn't they go ahead, sell off the property and let it be developed by people who have actually got roots in this city, that care about this city? Why? Because the people that have the roots in this city are smarter than the people that run the city, and they wouldn't have built a field house. Chuck Serac and Eric Doden, a couple of the people I think that were behind the private investment to try to get this property from the city, and they would have been smart enough to build something that would have had more function and more use, because they didn't need a consultant to tell them what this city's about. They know the city inside and out. They know the business practices, the needs of the city. They know the community and the residents. They've been here all their lives. These are people that would have been much smarter about investing their money into this project Instead, it goes to some company that I think is from out of town. I think this Price company isn't even a local company. Somebody correct me if I'm wrong. Comments are down 2-0, by the way. Slip that in on my rant. But there is no need to put a field house in the center of Fort Wayne unless you're going to put an arena attached to it. Zero, none, nada. And I think it's almost getting to the point of being too late. I feel so desperate here because somebody's got to go in there and just, I mean, maybe, Adam, we need to create what is it, a sit in. We're all going to just sit there when they come to do the construction and not get up. We're just going to sit in the way. They'll arrest all of us. They'll take us to jail, but we'll make our point. Maybe Chuck Surak will bail us out. we need help. We're doing it for you, Chuck. But seriously, it's a
No.
bad idea.
Yeah. And then now it's just like, okay, cool. I hope there's still maybe a spot somewhere downtown for an arena like the one you describe. It just, unfortunately, it won't be the North River downtown project. But yeah, it's like you said, it just feels like an oversaturation of field houses in the area, especially ones that are still not big enough to host those giant events like you mentioned. So as far as the smaller tournaments or the medium sized tournaments and the revenue that they hope to bring in, I really hope that they haven't overestimated how much draw that they're going to have, because I am all for downtown revitalization. I like my downtown to look nice. I like people to come to my downtown in Fort Wayne and enjoy their stay and think, hey, this looks nice around here. I like this nice new stuff. But if there's not going to be money to support that initial investment and the upkeep of it and the 900 employees that you're going to supposedly be hiring to run this place, it could just become an empty shell. And then it's just going to become another place that needs another investor to do something else with it. So
what are 900 people going to do at this place?
899 technically, if we're going to get technical, is their supposed job creation.
Right.
But
I
yeah,
mean, are they talking about the people that are doing the construction, the cleanup, and everything? Or are they talking about once it is done, there will be 899 people employed by this facility?
yeah,
Because
I mean,
there is no way in hell you're hiring 900 people to work in a field house that is sitting empty weeks at a time.
yeah, I think in that estimate they're including all the new like lodging and restaurants and stores that are going to be planned to be attached to this facility. But yeah, no, that's still a large number regardless.
You brought up the key word right there. The problem we have with these events and why we're not hosting some more of these major events has nothing to do with the event space. It has to do with hotel rooms. You've got to have a commitment from the area hotels that a certain number of rooms will be available. And you happen to be doing this during a big reunion week period in the summer where a lot of people are putting on reunions. You've got Tin Caps baseball, which, I mean, doesn't bring a ton of out of towners, but there is that. I don't know what we've got as far as downtown conventions during the summer, but you do have, what else do we have going on in the summertime that would interfere? Oh, weddings, weddings. I mean,
Yep.
it's a popular time of the year for weddings when you get into May and June, the springtime weddings. So I don't know. All I overhear is for the city our size that wants to host the types of events we want to host, our biggest hurdle is the number of hotel rooms. And it's not just total rooms, it's rooms that are 4-star and above or rooms that are 3-star and above if you're talking about the team accommodations. They don't want to all have to go stay at a budget hotel, right? They want to stay at
Yeah.
decent hotels, and so everybody's fighting for space at the 3 and 4-star places. We've added to the 5-star list, I think, but but we but that's where I defer to people like Chuck Surak, who he knows exactly what this city needs. He was complaining before you had the Bradley built. He was complaining for a long time that the city was short on boutique hotels, and then they built the Bradley, and that's handled a need. And I'm sure there's plenty of others that we have, but one of the big reasons we don't have these events is because we don't have the hotel space. It may seem like we've got plenty of hotels, but go downtown in Indy and look at all the tall towers of hotels, and then go around the suburbs of Indianapolis and look at all the hotels at every exit. Fishers, all the hotels. But you're telling, and all these old timers and stuff say, oh, well, we don't need an arena. Well, we didn't probably need a baseball stadium either, but look what it's done for our city. Um, I mean, we could have probably continued to play minor league baseball and eventually lost our team if we just went ahead and stuck them at the old castle out by the Coliseum. The other thing is, um, you have no arena, but what happens? The Mad Ants get moved to Indy, and Noblesville is stepping up and building this beautiful new arena. And their arena was built with some versatility. It can be almost a field house and an arena at the same time. And they built it about a mile away from the Fishers Event Center because Fisher stepped up and wanted to build this beautiful place. So, Indy, you've got Fishers and Noblesville a mile apart building 5,000, 6,000 seat arenas. Well, up here in Fort Wayne, we're like, no, we don't need it. We've already got but yet we built a field house and no one's complaining, even though we've got 3 field houses that have multiple courts that is plenty of space to put on these tournaments. I'm at a complete loss. I just don't get it. Build the dang downtown arena, somebody. Somebody take over and build the arena.
Yeah, I mean, the list of events that, I mean, if you just sit down and start thinking about all the things that an arena could host of that size in downtown, I mean, it just goes on and on. I mean, I was just thinking about, like the basketball tournament that features a team from Fort Wayne, and they have regional rounds before they go to their thing. That could be something that Fort Wayne does. There's trade and craft shows that necessarily aren't large enough for the Coliseum or the convention center at the Coliseum or the Grand Wayne Convention Center. That could serve as a spot too. So, I mean, it doesn't even have to be sports necessarily. Event centers, or stadiums can do more than just basketball for sure.
Yeah, absolutely. And yeah, and then when you talk about a downtown arena, I think that's much more of a showpiece than come look at our warehouse with basketball courts.
That is
It's a
literally
really
only
pretty warehouse.
it's only interesting to parents of kids with that are playing basketball or volleyball maybe, but it's not as general usage as a stadium is.
Here,
It's only you're only going to use it if you have a kid playing basketball.
I was just in St. Louis Friday night. Chaffetz Arena on the campus of
Fantastic.
St. Louis, right?
Yeah.
Like a 10, 11,000 seat arena. Beautiful place. I mean, just beautiful with suites and just beautiful seating. It's set up perfectly for the St. Louis Billikens basketball team. Now, we don't need 10,000 seats, but it's a good example because what is like 2 exits down the highway that's probably, 2 miles away is Enterprise Center, which is where the St. Louis Blues play. And so you've got the 17, 18,000 seat arena, and then just a couple of miles down the road at another exit, you've got this campus arena for St. Louis University. But there are, acts, comedians and stuff that are national touring comedians that might not fill a 10,000 seat Coliseum, but they have no choice if they're coming to Fort Wayne to fill the Coliseum, and then the Coliseum has to shorten up their seating and only do half of the arena because it would be embarrassing to fill people all the way around. And, you could have that show there. You're not going to interfere with the embassy. A theater type show is a special show, and that's going to, look at what goes to the embassy. It will still go to the embassy. Nobody seems to worry about the embassy when the Follinger started putting on shows that would have been at the embassy, and
Yeah, and
So,
I mean, think of all the acts that the Fullinger attracts that you could have, indoors during the non-good weather season, so
but I don't know
definitely.
what we're gaining by the field house. What do we gain? I mean, all this, and we might get a tournament once a year that
I mean,
wouldn't have
like
been able to come because we can provide a couple of extra courts for them and give them a really pretty place to play. I, do, I, I don't get it. I
yeah, and
don't
I mean,
know.
I don't wanna speak for both of us, but I can definitely tell you that I have no reason to go to it once it's done. I don't think you do either.
No, my kids are done with the AAU stuff.
So, and I mean, I think most of our listeners don't really have a reason to go there either, unless their kid is currently playing travel ball or is volleyball. But yeah.
So Purdue played in the Bahamas at Nassau,
Hmm.
the Baha Mar, and they had to play Memphis on Thursday. 24 hours later, come back play Texas Tech. And I thought on Thursday, they looked like a team that was the hunted. They were. I think they still got some guys on the team that are trying to learn and adapt to being the hunted. I think they feel pressure in that. But Friday night, they decided to come out and just not worry about it. Just play their game, have fun, share the ball. That was a classic example of what Purdue basketball is all about. There was one point in that game where the five starters, four of them had 10 points and one had 11. That's balance. And they ended up with seven players that had between 10 and 15 points, and six of those seven had 10, 11, or 12. Five of them had 10 or 11. That's balance. Everybody is capable of scoring. Everybody was scoring. And then they assisted on 19 of, I think, their 32 made baskets, and they hit 32 of 52 from the field. They were 8 of 14 from three for those seven players. But Texas Tech got held to 33% field goal shooting and 24% 3-point shooting. Purdue looked like the number one team in the country. They left no doubt to me that their potential is to be the best in the country and to win a national championship. I think there were people that were questioning that, but remember, Trey Kaufman-Renn wasn't playing when some of those questions were raised. He didn't play against Oakland, and that seemed to be the game that shook everybody because they only won it by 10 points. I'd rather have a game where I don't play well that I still win by 10 than a game where I don't play well where I get beat by 40. So Purdue is still fine, folks. They're fine. It's like
Yeah.
I said about Indiana after they had the 27-14 opening day win. I'm like, don't worry about it. Just watch them play, look at the talent, and you'll know this is one of the best teams in the country. And I said it about Indiana back then, week one. That's worked out pretty well. Indiana now number two in the country and undefeated. And I think Purdue is going to be just fine.
Yeah, that was a Matt Painter win over Texas Tech through and through. I mean, just sharing the ball, nobody playing hero ball, everybody just getting their scoring, doing what they have to do to contribute, and also killing the Red Raiders on the glass. 43-25, they out rebounded Texas Tech. So I know Matt Painter was happy to see that on the stat sheet, and I was really happy to see, the newest iteration of big men for Purdue, Oscar Clough, with a huge 15-15 double-double against the Red Raiders too. So yeah, great Matt Painter type win for the Boilermakers.
And I wasn't going to mention the rebounding because the first thing a coach would respond to that is, well, that's just because a lot more balls were coming off the rim at Texas Tech's end, and the defense is always going to have an advantage. So sometimes when you look at rebounding numbers, it depends on shooting numbers. And so like if I would say something, for instance, to Coach Kaufman, and the Mastodons shoot 33% and the opponent shoots 50, and rebounding is within one or two, that's a win because the other team's got a big advantage of rebounding at the defensive end, and the Don's end has a lot more balls coming off the rim. So sometimes you have to be careful when you just give raw rebounding numbers.
Yeah,
That's why I like to look at offensive rebounds and see. And offensive rebounds actually were pretty close, I think. I think it was like 9-11 or something like that in that
yeah,
Purdue game. So that's why I didn't put the rebounding, but Purdue was very good against Texas Tech. I mean, opened up that big lead with a big run in the first half and then just held on. And that's the thing is I thought, well, we'll see if they can keep this going. And they actually played really well in the second half and maintained what was already a big lead against a really good opponent. So, and they played a deep bench. So Purdue, very impressive on Friday night. Also, Friday night, the Bishops were impressive. They both got wins. Semi state football, we had 5 chances to get teams into the state championship game. Carroll was at home. Bishop Dwenger was at home. Bishop Lewis was at home. And South Adams was at home. Adams Central had to go to Andrean. I think everybody knew that was going to be a difficult challenge. I gave it a 50-50 type game there. I also gave Lures Knox about a 50-50 game, but oh my. Let's
Woo.
back off the hype for Miles McLaughlin because the Bishop Lures defense just owned Miles McLaughlin Friday night.
Said none of that. Absolutely held to negative yards in the second half. Was McLaughlin and did
Just
not get
all over.
anywhere close to the record, so he finishes second in high school rushing yards.
Just I mean he had no chance. I watched some of the highlights and there were Lures defenders in the backfield almost as soon as the snap got to McLaughlin. He just had no chance.
Yeah,
The Lures dominated at the line of scrimmage. The linebackers were aggressive. They took away cutbacks. I mean, it was just a clinic what Bishop Lures did defensively against McLaughlin. But that means Bishop Lures now moves on. Miles McLaughlin falls short of Derrick Henry's all-time record. And so Bishop Lures moves on. They're going to play Cascade in the championship, who defeated Gibson Southern in a shootout. I don't think it's going to be a shootout against Bishop Lures. I think Lures has found their identity, and their identity is defense first and try to manage the offense to get enough points. In fact, it's interesting. Both teams that we have representing the 260 have a very similar MO,
hmm
right?
right.
They're both probably better defensive teams than offensive teams. They will have some balance offensively, but they're not going to throw first. They're going to want to run the ball against you. And I think both of them have quarterbacks that have gained confidence throughout the year and are playing their best football. But I don't expect it to be a shootout in either one of these games. Last time Bishop Dwenger played Roncalli, it was anything but a shootout. 3-0. A
Yeah,
bases loaded single in the seventh inning was the difference in the.
yeah. That was definitely a defensive stalwart. Was that first matchup? But it makes me excited that they get a chance to play each other again here in the state finals.
Isn't it funny? The very first game of the season, Dwenger Roncalli. We had no idea this was a future state championship matchup. We knew it was two teams that were probably pretty good and had a good history of success in football. And then they come away 3-0. And I don't know about you, Adam, but I thought, well, both teams kind of suck. Neither one can score, right?
Right.
What did
What
we
the heck
learn
is this?
there?
Is this the 1940s or
Nobody
what?
plays 3-0 football games in high school.
No, they don't. One field goal is something that you don't see very often as far as a scoring sheet. No.
And then what we've learned about Dwenger since, how did Dwenger not be the one to kick the field goal? Lucas Wynn has booted like
Just put
three
him
or
within
four of them
50,
from over
yeah.
50 yards.
Yeah, put him within 55. Yeah, no, you're probably pretty good.
So, yeah, that'll be the 4A battle, and we will be there. Griff and I are heading down to Indianapolis for the Saturday afternoon game. Unfortunately, we cannot be at the Bishop Lures game on Friday.
Mm,
I've got Mastodons basketball. We've got like a full calendar of games taking place on Friday, college basketball. Then you've got, I think Purdue plays on
yeah.
Friday. You've got Purdue, Indiana or football that night.
Yeah, Friday night football.
So we have a totally full slate for for Friday, and we're even using the stream, so we don't have a place to even put a game anywhere. So unfortunately, we will not be at the Bishop Luers game on Friday, but Saturday we will be there for the coverage of Bishop Dwenger and Roncalli in a Class 4A state championship game.
Looking forward to it. Hopefully,
Yeah,
there's a little
and
more offense, just a little bit more.
you know what I'm looking forward to?
What do we got?
I'm home all week.
Yeah, and so are the Mastodons.
First time, 14 years, first time, Adam, that I will be home the entire week of Thanksgiving.
That's crazy.
I went through the schedules and we played either like the Wednesday before or the Tuesday before on the road. We've played Monday, Tuesday in some of these shootout events. We've played Thursday, Friday, Saturday at shootouts. We went down to Fort Myers one year.
Mm-hmm.
Uh, we played road games on that Friday, just straight road games. I think, trying to remember if last year was East Texas A&M, but we have always had a road trip over Thanksgiving, and here we are,
How about
uh,
it?
home for two games this week. Starts with Chicago State on Tuesday at the
Yep.
Coliseum. I screwed that
Hey.
up. I told everybody it was at Gates. I
No,
got so
yeah.
comfortable with all the games being at Gates, I just didn't want to go to the Coliseum at all. I was like, let's just play this. It's been fun at Gates. They got a new scores table. It's much more comfortable. Uh,
Awesome.
I I was expecting that we would be at, and then I got on the bus and realized it's at the Coliseum Tuesday night against Chicago
Yeah.
State. First game at the Coliseum for the Dons, and then on Friday the Dons take on Holy Cross. I think that's at Gates, but I'll have to look.
Looking forward to it. Yeah, it's Chicago State. It's going to be nice for the Dons to get back against a mid-major D1 opponent.
I mean, what you hope. The Dons had a difficult schedule. This is as tough an opening schedule as the Dons have ever played. In fact,
Mhm.
it's almost as difficult a non conference schedule as they've ever played, and they've done it in the first 2.5 weeks of the season. Normally, they have two or three bye games, where you play the bigger conference teams and you get a little nice check to go out there and play.
Yeah.
It just so happened because of all of these events, the Bahamas, the California, the Vegas tournament, the Cancun. Everybody's going to think, and so to build the schedule and get the pay games, which they played more pay games today's day and age. You've got to earn more revenue, so Coach Kaufman's playing more of the higher level opponents, but he had to jam them in toward the beginning of the year. And so you had Grand Canyon, Ohio State, Utah, and St. Louis, four pretty darn good basketball teams, all jammed into the first 2 weeks of the season. And the Dons didn't win any of those games. But it's not about what you do, because you know what? Come February and into March, nobody, nobody in the Horizon League ever says, yeah, you might win the conference tournament, but what'd you do back in November?
You lost to the Lopes.
Yeah, you lost on the road to Grand Canyon.
Yeah.
So
You
it's
just
all about getting better. It's all about challenging yourself and getting better. And you can see that the Mastodons are starting to do things better, but challenging themselves with this difficult competition, with teams that have bigger, stronger, faster guys that are expected to play better than your guys. That's why they're in the Big Ten and the Dons guys aren't. But you challenge yourself over and over and over again. And yes, the final result says you lose the basketball game, but you might eventually win the war among your conference peers. And that's what the Dons are banking on. Every year that I've worked with the Mastodons, they've generally had what I would call a somewhat soft non-conference schedule. Uh, a lot of mid to lower mid-major teams. You had your non D1s sprinkled in, and you had two or three pay games that covered your bills. nothing that compares to the number of teams they've played at this level already. And normally you play them November and December, and the Dons played them all in early November. And they've still got Notre Dame coming up the week before Christmas. So this is a team that tested themselves early. They've been challenged, and they didn't win the games. But it's not about winning the games in November. It's about winning the games in February and March. And I think the Dons are going to be better with this method. They may not, look at Oakland. Oakland plays all these really difficult teams, but you think Oakland's not going to be competitive when you get to Horizon League play? They get smoked. They get beat by Purdue by 10. They get smoked by Houston. They lost another game big. Michigan State, I think, whooped them around. Whatever it is, the bottom line is Oakland is going to be competitive because they challenge themselves like that. And it doesn't look great on the one-loss record where you have a 2-5 record, or there's teams that have been like 1-9 early in the season. I remember when South Dakota State had like a 1-8 start, and they ended up winning the Summit League, and not only won the Summit League, but they won it with only like 2 losses in 18 games. And so if you're a Mastodons fan, basketball fan, don't lose faith. This team's got a lot of talent. And yes, they've not shot the ball well, and I'm waiting for that to turn around because they've got better shooters than what their stats are saying right now. But there is some talent, and I'm anxious to see how it measures up against teams that are mid-majors, like teams from the MAC, teams that'll be coming in this week, and like a Chicago State. So let's see what they do, and also when they start to get a fair share of home games.
Yeah.
So far they have not played anybody but a non-D1 at home. They've not played a fellow D1 opponent in a home game. So let's see what happens. Mr. Vegas giving us an update that the Cowboys and Philadelphia Eagles are now tied 21 apiece.
Yep. About 6 minutes left in the fourth in that one.
You got big Thanksgiving plans?
Just hanging out with the family. I was gonna say before we sign off, we got to say what's your Thanksgiving plate looking like? What do you like from the Thanksgiving meal?
Obviously I'm a fan of turkey.
Mm-hmm.
Some people prefer ham because they're not turkey. I'm a turkey fan. I love turkey. The 2 sides that I most look forward to would be stuffing and
Mm-hmm.
macaroni and cheese.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
2 reasons I wear elastic waistbands on Thanksgiving because both of those add a few pounds. But I love stuffing, love mac and cheese. The baked potatoes aren't bad, or not baked potatoes, but the mashed potatoes
Mash.
aren't bad. Yeah,
Sure.
little turkey gravy. Cranberry, that
Yeah.
can, that my aunt can eat cranberry. I'm not gonna fight anybody for the cranberry stuff. We don't have sauce. We had cranberry jello.
Mm-hmm. That's what we do too. We
Still
call it
not still
cranberry.
not a
Yeah.
big fan.
Me neither. It's more of the older folks in my family that like it. It's probably not going to get passed on to our generation.
And always have to save a spot for some pumpkin pie.
Good stuff. Good stuff. Can't go
Whip,
wrong.
a lot of whipped cream.
Oh yeah. That's what the pie is for. It's just a boat for the whipped cream.
Yeah, that's it. That's it. It just holds the whipped cream.
Exactly. It's
Pile the whipped
the
cream up.
you got it.
What do you got?
Let's see. Definitely turkey, of course. I prefer dark meat if we're going turkey. Mashed potatoes and gravy. Green bean casserole. And you got to have a nice soft dinner roll with butter, of course.
That sounds good. Yeah,
There you go.
I do like a soft, squishy, warm
Buttery.
dinner
Oh
roll.
yeah.
Yeah, a little butter on it. Put a little butter on it.
Ah.
All right. Got to make an exit here. All right.
Yes, sir.
So we're gonna roll. Don't forget Mastodons Tuesday,
Come out and support.
Friday, and high school football Saturday.
Packed
Purdue,
week.
IU, the football version.
Big Ten championship comes down to if IU can beat Purdue, and I think
I
they
don't know
will.
what the line is, but I'm guessing. I would
I'll pull it
guess
up.
it's 31, 32.
I'm pulling it up here. Give me 1 second.
It should
here.
be. Mr. Vegas is there. I wonder if he knows.
I'm sure he already has it ready.
Yeah, he's probably already got his bet placed. 30, I would say 31 and a half.
Let's see. There is. Oh, it's. I forgot it was on Friday. All right, here we go. Um, IU minus 28 and a half. I'll give you within 3. You're
And
good.
you realize you were like a half second behind Mr. Vegas, who
Of course
already
I
had it.
was. Of course I was. I knew he would have
Yeah,
it before me.
28 and a half. Ryan says turkey all day, every day. Stuffing in the bird.
Yeah, yeah.
I don't need it in the bird. Mashed potatoes, mac and cheese. Yes, Cool Whip on the pie. I think
Good
Ryan
stuff.
eats like I do.
Everybody have a happy Thanksgiving for sure.
Yep.
Enjoy all that food.
Everybody enjoy your holiday. Have a great holiday week. And be sure to give us that thumbs up. Make sure you subscribe. Ring the bell too if you or click the bell so you get your alerts when we're going live and doing these special videos or shows. We ran a little long on this one. We were going to make it about an hour. It's almost an hour and a half, but we appreciate everybody that has tuned in during the course of this extravaganza. Make sure too you share it. If you can just click on the video on YouTube, it'll give you an opportunity to click the share button. You can share what we have, and we'll even put together some shorts later. So some of the, if we can find anything that we said that seems to be smarter than the rest of what we talked about, maybe we'll just have shorts about our Thanksgiving selections. I don't know.
Maybe.
But it's fun to do this once a week. Wish we could do it more. Maybe that will be something in the works. We'll see. All right, Adam, have a great week.
See ya.
Appreciate you. Have a good week, everybody. Talk to you next week.